If we could have roll call, please.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Scarborough.
Here.
Kenworthy. And Spice.
Present.
Great. We'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. You can see we have a full house tonight. We want to thank everybody for coming out. Our first item on the agenda is our public hearings. We have the first one up is 14550 John Marshall Highway for rezoning application. I guess we could just add if we can speaking in favor or opposed at the same time.
Yes, Your Honor. I didn't even have everybody come up and speak on this issue.
Okay. If you just state your name and address for the record, and let you speak whether or not you're in favor or opposed to our first application here, a public hearing. All right, and let's go ahead and go to our next one for the use of limited professional offices in the R1 district at 14550 John Marshall Highway. Anybody in favor or opposed that would like to speak? And the next one for our zoning text amendment, 58.1, 58.258, and 58.260. Either in favor or opposed if they would like to speak regarding that. And our special use permit, St. Paul's Church sign, if anybody would like to speak.
My name is Sean Rousseau. I'm the priest in charge of St. Paul's, and I was unfortunately unable to be at the public hearing a couple of weeks ago. My family was away on vacation. I was at the Architecture Review Board meeting, the Planning Commission meetings before that. So I was surprised to hear that one of the signs wasn't approved of the three signs. And I would like to ask you to consider grandfathering in that sign for the corner of Washington Street and Fayette Street. And my reasons are these. One of our vestry members, Glennie Forbes, who has lived here her entire life, she wouldn't tell me her exact age, is 60-something. Her father, Turner Smith, was the town's attorney. And for decades, there was never a problem brought up about that sign on the corner, directional sign pointing down towards the church, further down Fayette Street. And then after he retired, his firm, Smith & Davenport, handed that over as a town attorney to Bob Bendall and Martin Krim. And once again, there was no problem raised with the sign being there on the corner of Washington and Fayette Street. We know that the sign was there on the street until sometime mid-2012, where we believe in the midst of the lawsuit, perhaps all of the signs were removed from the church's property, which is why I'm here before you for a special use permit to have the signs replaced. I have photographic evidence from way back when the town hall wasn't here, but was the museum, where the sign was on the corner from way back then. So my understanding is for decades and decades, there has always been a sign in that corner, the typical Episcopal Church welcomes you sign directing people down to the church. I am in conversation with the new owners of that property, and I haven't heard back from them whether they give permission to me to continue having a sign on the property. Obviously, that is necessary. But if they were to give permission for me to continue having a sign on the property, I would like the town council to consider grandfathering that sign, since I'm sure any of the ordinances for the town existed long after that sign had established its place there on the corner. So that's my request to the town council this evening regarding the one sign that was not approved at the last public hearing. Other than I'm very happy that you're approving of the other signs.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, could I put my card to the gentleman?
Sure. Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, I apologize. I was out of the room when the
rezoning application was heard, but I do have a quick update, and the applicant would like to address the council as well.
Okay, sure.
Should I do that now or wait till you get to your next
No,
item?
go ahead.
I'm sorry, I have my sultry voice tonight. You'll have to bear with me. The packet that went out with you last Friday included a revised proffer statement that was revised subject to the work session you had last week. I have not received updated proffers since then, so the proffers that are before the council this evening are those proffers that came out with the council packet. We've drafted an ordinance, should the council support it, for you to adopt. And the proffers, the only one thing I would offer with the proffers is that Martin and I have not reviewed that latest version that came out of the work session discussion. So we would ask if the council favors that application that we be given some time, not to change the content of it, but simply look at the legal form of the proffer. So Mr. Marsden, who's the applicant with QBE, would like to address the council as well.
Okay.
If I may give him the floor.
Sure.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Mike Marsden. I'm got offices here in Haymarket. I wanted to spend just a few minutes. I know that I've talked to several of the council members individually, and there's been email exchanges, but I just wanted to take this opportunity this evening to see if I can't just compartmentalize it and kind of put it all in one neat little package so that we're all kind of on the same page with respect to the proffers and where we are with zoning, et cetera. So I'd like to start with just a little bit of the chronology first. Basically, we set out to strike a sales agreement with the school board. And there were two provisions that the school board required of us. One was the first right of offer should at any point in time we elect to take the parcel and want to repurpose it for something other than recreational use. And then number two was to strike a lease agreement with the school board for some period of time so that the fields and the parcel next to the school could be protected. During that time, we discovered that we had a split boundary problem. So we have part of the boundaries in with Prince William County. The other part of the boundary is within the town of Haymarket. We worked to garner support for moving the boundary line into the town and applied for the proper use permits so that not only QBE but our tenants could take occupancy. We fast forward the town after the contract was signed. The town asks us for certain considerations while we go through the rezoning and permit process. The town requires a longer-term lease than what was originally struck with Parks and Recreation. So we had, in our sales contract, put forward a 5-year lease agreement with Parks and Rec. With the school board for Parks and Rec. That was accepted during the sales contract. The town required that we rezone the property to commercial, from residential and agricultural to commercial. So we went through the process of submitting the rezoning applications along with the proffers of what we promised to do with the land, for as long as we own it, and then for as long as the proffers exist in the land records. The town required a site plan commitment. The town required sunset clauses, limitations on the property use, for as long as we own the property. The town is requiring that we pass along all of these clauses to any future owner of the property. So, in response to what the town has asked, we have proposed a 10-year lease agreement for which is going to be reviewed and hopefully approved by Prince William County tomorrow. We have worked with legal and the political entities to move the boundary line, or at least to get the boundary line put forward in conjunction with the town. That tomorrow will be also reviewed, and a decision will be made by Prince William County. We have submitted, as I mentioned, applications for use permits. We have submitted the paperwork for commercial zoning applications. And we have put forward a promise, a proffer, to keep the recreational parcel available to any entity willing to enter into a lease agreement with us as the applicants. We agreed to the sunset clauses. We've agreed to give the town first rights to lease the property should we ever decide to sell it, or to buy the property should we ever decide to sell it. All of which is not required of us. We are doing this to maintain the integrity and the proposal that we came to this council with 2 years ago. So, as a citizen, as a business owner, as somebody that stands in front of this council with a request, I am appealing to this council this evening to approve the request that we put forward. We as a business have, I believe, done things that we are not required to do and really support a best use case for that environment. We are executing an agreement for recreational use of 10 years and beyond. We are making this available to a school, to a church, and to our business. And if you drive by Pace at all, you see that we're revitalizing the area right now at a cost to us. We may never even recoup that cost, not to mention all the legal fees that we're spending to try to get through some of these processes. The only thing I am not able to do, along with my partners, is to sacrifice future value of the land that I have purchased at fair market value. And we have been asked to establish a promise to the town of Haymarket that for any future owner of that property essentially has a lever to make that land for public use. And what I have offered to the town is, so long as I own the land, we're willing to do that. I'd like to finish by just saying that there's nothing that we have offered that prevents the town at any point in time that we wish to sell the property or do something different with the property. There's nothing that prevents the town from intervening in their own interest to either strike a lease with us or to buy the property. I appreciate the time. I really just wanted to kind of see if I couldn't package this up, because we've had many conversations about different elements of this. But again, I'm appealing to the council today to approve our application. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else would like to speak on, in favor or opposed? Okay.Moving on to 14710 and 14740 Washington Street. Of course, this will be our former police department and the current location for the Haymarket Food Pantry. So, anybody would like to speak on this?
No, I'll be here. Good evening. My name is Pam Stutz. I live at 6720 Jefferson Street, Haymarket, Virginia, and I am here in reference to two things. One is a residence for the Harrower property, as it's known, and that is to make sure that the interest of the town residents are known. I believe that this property should stay as it is in town. It should be an open space. It should be developed as a green space for this town. And I feel that it is not a burden to us as taxpayers. It provides space and adequacy for events, and it could go beyond that. It could turn into a nice park. It could be also a lot of other things. So with that, I am in favor of you keeping the Harrower property under the town's auspices. Secondly, I'm here for the food pantry. As you know, the food pantry has been on that property. Our lease is up in 2014. I'm not going to go into a lot of discussion because I think behind me you will see that there are others who will be talking about the food pantry as well. And I just want to bring to you just one story for all of you who have talked about vehicles that you have seen at the food pantry. and I want to let you know, and I think our chief can probably back me up. I don't think we had the same gentleman that I'm going to be speaking about, but I think he had someone else. One night I was driving past Food Lion, known as Bloom at that time, and I was in the back, and there was a gentleman dumpster diving. Now, in case you don't know what that term means, it means that he was going in there and taking out food that had been disposed of by that grocery store. I stopped. I said to him, "Sir, do you know that there's a food pantry in our town and that you can get fresh food, not food that may be expired or delayed?" He looked at me and he said, "I'm embarrassed to go there." He said, "Ma'am, that's my car." And he pointed to Mercedes-Benz. He said, "I would be embarrassed to drive up there in that car because people would think that I was taking advantage. However, that's my home. I live in that car. I go to parks to eat. I go to rest stops to spend the night. I go there to rest stops to get myself clean." I said, "We don't care whether you're driving a Mercedes or not. We will still offer you food." The gentleman did come eventually. He stayed with us as a client, as we called him, for over a year and a half. He came to me one day and told me he was moving to California, but he wanted to thank us. But before he left, he gave us a very nice donation. He was very pleased that we were able to help him. This is not the first story. Chief, I think he took a woman that he found dumpster diving. We put up a sign, "Please don't dumpster dive, come to the food pantry." That's all I'm going to say about that. I think most of you all know how the food pantry is, but I'm going to turn it over to Eileen Smith, who's in chair of our marketing, and she's going to share some statistics with you of what's been going on with our food pantry. If you have an extra easel, can you borrow? Eileen?
Good evening, everyone. As Pam mentioned, my name is Eileen Smith. I have lived here since 1995. I've worked with the food pantry now for 4 years as their marketing director. When I started with the food pantry, we had 72 families who came to visit us on a weekly basis. Laura handed you all a little sheet of paper that shows that last year our numbers weekly averaged over 300 families per month, and this year we're actually at a run rate of over 400 families per month. You'll notice in January we were actually over 500 for the month. So just in the 4 years that I have been associated with the food pantry, in my business I do marketing for Workday. It's a software as a service company. We call that Y over Y, year-over-year growth, and that is really unprecedented growth for this group. As far as our client demographics, just want to tell you a little bit about the folks who come to the food pantry. They're young, they're old, they're middle-aged. You can see here that roughly 33% of our customers are children. We do see quite a few of them. They come in, we have donuts up on the shelf. They get to pick a cookie or a candy or something for themselves. You'll notice down here on the bottom, and I think probably this is the most telling chart of the three that I will show, that our number of visits per family, and what this chart is attempting to illustrate is that we service people once, we service them twice, we service some people at the very end. So this number here shows that out of our families, 107 of them visited the food pantry only once. We have a lot of folks who come in who just need that one little shot to get them to their paycheck, to get them to the end of the month. Then you'll see down here it tapers down, and you'll see that many people just keep coming. And you see these folks all the time. I mean, they live in town, they live all over the place. The next chart, and last one, I promise, shows a little bit about our volunteers. We serve over 100 hours per week at the food pantry with our volunteer staff. We have a maintenance staff who stacks the cans on the shelves. We have, obviously, the folks who do the distribution. Those are the people who actually are handing the food out. As you're well aware, we're open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. This maintenance crew up on the top is actually at the food pantry every day of the week, stocking the shelves. In addition to that, we have another group who does pickup and delivery. As I'm sure you're well aware, we have many different groups in the town that give us food every day, and that has to be picked up and transported back. So not only is it a great place to volunteer for our folks who are retired, we have a lot of folks from Heritage Hunt and Dominion Valley, but it's a great place for our students to get their hours in, their volunteer hours. Laura's in charge of our volunteers, and she can tell you we have a gigantic influx towards the end of every semester when the children need to get their hours in. And I didn't realize Pam was going to tell you a story, but I thought I'd kind of make it personal to you. We had a gentleman come to the food pantry 2 summers ago, and he walked in with a bag of Giant bags. And he said, I'm here for some food. I haven't been here before. And he was the last person there, and I was the last person there, and he just decided he would tell me his story. And he said, I took my family to the beach last week for vacation. We came back, and my job was closed. I had taken my family to the beach. I didn't have any money left. I'm bringing these bags here, and I'm telling my family I'm going to Giant today. He came for 6 months, and now he's one of our best volunteers. I can't say that he gave us a big check like Pam's guy, but he volunteers for us, and I see him all over town. And he's so thankful for what we do. Thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Susan Edwards. I live at 6938 Little John Court, and I would like to speak on 2 things. One, the Harover property. Many of you have been on this council when I was on this council, and it was well known that we wanted that property to stay as the last green space in this town. And I think it's a shame that the topic is even coming up to change that. There's so much potential in this town to add to the community events, and I really believe that we need to stay the course and not change our mind at the last minute. It seems like every time the wind blows, the ideas change. And I want to remind the council that you were elected by the people of this town to represent what they want, not individual agendas, and to represent what this town has stood for many years, many, many years. And secondly, the food pantry, this is one of the best things this town has ever done. And that would put a black eye on this town forever to make that food pantry. So be prepared for what you're about to do.
Thank you.
I'm Greg Terry. I live at 14701 Dogwood Park Lane in Villages of Haymarket. So my house is right behind the Harrow property. And so as the ladies have said before, we're definitely encourage the town to keep that space as an open space. There's no other green space left in town. Offering it as a park space, as we've talked about many times before, is definitely the way we would recommend it to continue. I can't top the stories about the pantry, but I can say that my 3 boys were totally excited when they were able to donate food to the food pantry and came bouncing down the walkway because they were able to help somebody. So I definitely in favor of keeping the food pantry as well.
Thank you.
You're all in my
That's okay. We'll be here all night. That's okay.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Braun. I live at 8788 Dancer Court in Gainesville. I'm here to talk about the properties, the police station with the park area there that we hope we can have, and also the food pantry. I am the first volunteer for the food pantry. I think I can make that claim to fame, can I? Thank you very much. I was with Pam Stutz in St. Paul's Church, and we had a pantry closet. This is the second time I have come up to give a shout for the pantry. First time just to get the space, and now this time to keep it. I have seen the growth of this food pantry skyrocket from one person in our closet to the upwards of 400 people a week in January that we had. I go to the different stores. We go to Bloom. We go to Giant. We have a community face here. Haymarket, the town of Haymarket has a face in this community. We've got 20 churches behind us. We've got grocery stores. If this food pantry doesn't have a home here, then these people, I think, will probably, that black eye might come out. I think they'll probably be very upset. We have so much support in this town. So many people, more than what you see here. I can't tell you how many different organizations I have been to. I've been to the Sharks Swim Club team. I've been to Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, churches, community efforts. You just don't know how many people that we're involved with. And Haymarket is the face. They come here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maria Turner, 6791 Fayette Street. It's my understanding that I can only speak at this time about the Herald Property, not the food pantry.
No, ma'am, you can speak.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I have from day one said that the town, and I do vote, said that they should not purchase the Herald property. In my estimation, it should be sold. In the second area of the food pantry itself, I do not choose to have my tax dollars necessarily going to help support that. Now, granted, it is free, and unless they are willing to pay all the bills to sustain that building, electricity, water, blah, 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 no. Or they should be getting monies from outside to pay for that. I do not choose to subsidize their electricity.
All right, thank you for your comment.
Hi there. My name's Ethel Clark. I'm actually the head of the food acquisitions. I go to different stores, talk to people when you're giving this food and yada yada. For the misinformed lady that just spoke, you all know food pantry pays for all the expenses at that house. I know we do. We had the furnace put in because there was none there. Air conditioning, we took care of that. We'd like a 3-year lease so we can put water in that place. Since the well that's there, nobody seems to be able to find or use. And I don't know how anybody else having the property could either. But either way. Well, we are a community. Gainesville, in and of itself, has no community. Okay? It's just a bunch of houses and stores. There's no community. Everybody at the food pantry is from Haymarket and from Gainesville. It's a community. This is the only community effort that these people, and in the last 10 years, I've seen people come from all over the country. They leave their parents. They leave all their relatives. This is the only sense of community they have after they move into this area, is the Haymarket, Gainesville area. Doesn't matter which one they moved into. The common bond they all seem to find is our food pantry. That's why we have as many volunteers as we do. There's mothers who want their children to know about helping other people. There's organizations who want to join in and support us. We get funds in. We pay for all of our bills. We pay the electricity. We've kept the heat on. We've kept the air conditioning on. Nothing has faltered since then. We have plenty of volunteers to fix anything you want to say is wrong. It's a very nice place. We've kept it up, and we'd like to continue to keep it up. And as you know, we'll work in conjunction with anybody that wants to use the property for any kind of park organization. I'd be all over that. But as I say, since I'm on the forefront of getting the food in, I can tell you that I'm moving a ton of food every month out of the dumpsters, preventing it going to the dumpsters, instead of going to the food pantries. Now, this is food that would be thrown in your dumpsters. People who wouldn't eat, stores, they have to pay more for haulage because they pay by the ton. So it's a service project in whatever way you want to look at it. There's food to be gathered, and there's people that need it. And the town of Haymarket gets all the credit for it. You guys look great. We've made you look great ever since we started. Because it's the Haymarket Food Pantry. It's not, St. Paul's Church or this or that. It's the town. It's the community. And I just want you to be aware of that. Make any kind of decision, because we need to stay there. We are definitely needed in this area. So, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi. I'm Jim Smith. I live at 6937 Jockey Club Lane. I'm going to take a little bit different spin on it here as far as the food pantry. If you guys will remember, we tried to roll the food pantry into the community center. We did that, where we tried to do that, 6-8 months ago, and didn't get very far. But the different spin I'm going to take on this is I'm actually the husband of the volunteer coordinator. So I've got a vested interest in this thing going forward, too, simply because if she's happy, I'm happy. Right? But this is much bigger than the town of Haymarket. I think everyone here knows that. And these folks have taken something very small, and it's just exploded. And it's more than the food pantry now. It's volunteerism. It's community service. It's community activism. It's all that. And you guys need to think about that when you're deciding this. This is huge. And I'm not going to throw out black eyes or anything like that, but this is huge. And to basically do away with that, it's just not right. It's just not the right thing to do. And I think you all should consider that. So we're not done with that community center project. We're still trying to do some things on that, and at some point we hope to roll this into that. We just aren't there yet. Sure, I'd love to take that fire station building off your hands any second. Just tell me and it's done, and we'll go from there. But there you go. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Excellent.
I'm Judy McCauley. I live in Piedmont at 5780 Serengeti Court in Haymarket. I could repeat a lot of things that were already said. The growth has been incredible. From my story, I worked briefly at St. Paul's Church and saw it, as Ms. Thornton says, just a room at St. Paul's, but multiple churches started contributing. St. Catherine's grew at Bull Run, a remote church at St. Stephen's, that started giving. The Dominion Valley Giant, all these stores, all these people. You can walk in the pantry. There's a whole wall of certificates that Pam's put up there of businesses that have given, be it food, be it money to buy food, whatever. It has grown from, I know in my experience, Pam and a few ladies, Kathy, I guess, getting together 10 turkeys maybe. One Christmas, what, in like 2007?
Yes.
To now like, what, 400?
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. The amount, I didn't even realize the help that they needed with delivery, trying to deliver dinners at Thanksgiving and Christmas, besides the whole process and business of just the people coming and picking up food. I mean, it has just grown incredibly. I know the new pastor at St. Paul's, they're continuing to give. I can't even mention everyone. I work at St. Paul's School in Haymarket. We're another contributor. We communicate to our families every week in our class newsletters and the teachers' newsletters. They know they bring in contributions every other Wednesday when we have chapel with the children, and we take all of that to the pantry as well. I saw tonight that Father David couldn't make it here tonight, but he is involved with St. Paul's School, and he has a petition. We have a lot of names that I can get to you as well, which are families of our school that have signed in support of what all we're discussing here as well. And that's more names and addresses that are in support of this staying in Haymarket as a contribution to the community and defining community. it's even bigger than really Gainesville and Haymarket. I just starting to finally get to the pantry more to volunteer than just delivering food once in a while or taking it from school, because I wanted my son to get involved. I just can't believe how many volunteers work there. And it is like a business. I mean, it's Laura, I can't imagine. There's literally a website. You know, we use volunteerspot.com now because there are so many volunteers that are needed. And that's just the whole other side besides helping others in need, that it's helping so many students, children that need, I think when they're in honor roll and such, they need community hours. So, of course, we see the influx, I know, at the end of the quarter. But they're learning something. I mean, it's just values you want to teach any child, whether your family is how religious you are or not. It is just such a good thing that it needs to stay where it is. And I don't even know why it's up for any kind of discussion, because to me it's a no-brainer. So that's all I wanted to say.
Well, great. Well, thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Jim Kennedy, and I live on Boxelder Loop. I'm one of the retirees that PM talked about. Although after today, I'm not too sure I retired from anything. But I had really 2 points. One is the Native Americans, I give them credit for this because they had a lot of wisdom. I think made a comment that until you walk in somebody's moccasins, don't judge them. And quite candidly, when people drive up in a Mercedes, I guess was one of the stories that was given, or BMW or some other car that looks a lot nicer than what we drive, it's easy to make that judgment. But I learned to follow what the Native Americans had to say, because we don't ask them what's going on in their background at that point in time. We assume they need food. And so we give it. And to me, there's a lot of sense to that situation. And secondly, I struggle with the idea that when we are looking at tax money or taxpayers, what we put into the community, I'm sure there's no place else that money would be wasted other than the food pantry. What can I say? But if it relates to how somebody's going to eat, then to me, it's not money wasted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ed Robinson. I live at 6817 Jefferson Street here in Haymarket. I've picked up food, I've delivered food, and I've handed out food. I have one thing to say. The outpouring of support here should be more than enough to make you make the right decision. However, come to the food pantry and give out some food. That should be enough. Thank you.
My name's Matt Carl. I live at 14725 Dogwood Park Lane, and I look directly out my window at the food pantry. I like to see it stay there. And also, I've lived in this town since 1997. I remember Gossamer Store. Some of you remember coming up 55 before 66 was built. And we have precious little space in this town that's not concrete or buildings, and I really think we need to keep some open space. I think it would be very nearsighted on your part to do away with the last little bit of what I call grass in the town. So I'm all in favor for the food pantry staying there, and I don't really see where we're hurting for a lot of money where we need to sell. That seems like we have plenty of money to do what we need to do. So I'm in favor for it staying just like it is.
Thank you, sir.
Next. My apologies for being late. My name is Allison Fredericks. I live at 13241 Downey Court in Bristow. I've been volunteering at the pantry for about a year and a half now. I don't know what else everybody's been telling you because, again, I was a little bit late, but I am the school liaison for the food pantry, and I just want you to know that in addition to the families that we help with in this area, at Christmas and Thanksgiving, we do a lot to reach out to the schools to help them feed their families that are in need with Christmas and Thanksgiving baskets. In addition, we like to make them aware that we are there for services to offer to their families in the schools that may be in need. So that's just a little addition to what else we do on a weekly basis for the food pantry. Thank you. I'm back. So last year we gave over 400 baskets, and more than half of them, I believe, went to the schools in the area, Prince William County particularly.
Thank you. Anyone else? The last call?
I'm Diane Rice. I live at 5380 Antioch Road, Haymarket, Virginia. I live outside of town. I'm on my third year officially this month working for the food pantry. I started out where there would be 3 of us working, and we would wait on maybe 20-some people to working 2-hour shifts full-time with 8 people, just serving people. And it's a lot. We've worked in the dark when I accidentally turned on electricity with the heat.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, I did that. And the best part was the volunteers that I had, we stayed 1 hour and worked in the dark to feed the families that were already there. And the families were great. I had people coming up, turning their phones on to give me light so we could see. So I'm in full support of the pantry staying here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'm Julie Lloyd. I live at 14316 Springfield Court, Gainesville. I have been volunteering with the pantry now for almost 3 years now, and it's been just something that just kind of touches my heart to see how that the town has allowed us to help people who are truly, really in need. Not only that, but there's also something I want to let you know, that there's also children that come in, teenagers, that come in through the court systems that need to do volunteer hours, that when they have done with those volunteer hours have stayed on to continue helping because they have felt it's touched them, that they've been able to help these people really in need. I just, for the past, 8 months or so, I've been doing the supplemental purchasing of food for the food pantry. From the first time I bought the food, I've seen it gone down tremendously of having to do purchase supplemental because we have gotten so many donations of food coming in from people. It's just overwhelming. So I really think that the best choice to do is to keep it right where it's at. It's a part of Haymarket, those buildings are, and it should remain and stay a part of Haymarket, not taken down and put up something that doesn't need to be there. Thank you.
So I'm Paula Gallagher. I live at 6853 Jockey Club Lane. Came to ask why we can't get FiOS. But I also I do have to share. My husband and my daughter just recently started volunteering at the Haymarket Food Pantry, and it's just a great experience for my daughter, for my husband. So I think it's a great thing, and it's important. Like, my daughter came home and was touched by what she saw. She's 13, and she thanked me for dinner because she knew that not everybody has that kind of dinner. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Can I get FiOS?
Anybody else that would like to speak? If not, you have an opportunity. We're going to go to citizens' time. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And now we have citizens' time.
Now you can ask about fire.
Mr. Mayor and members of the Town Council, I'm Rick Hendricks. I live at 10024 Island Fog Court in Bristow. I'm happy to be here. Last time I was here, I was handing out your certificates of election. But today I'm not here on any electoral board business. I'm here representing John Dion, who's president of the Centerville, Virginia stake of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He wanted to be here tonight, but he had some ecclesiastical duties that called him away. We're here to encourage you to pass the resolution that's on your agenda today for the endorsing the day to serve or signifying that September 28th will be the Day to Serve day in the town of Haymarket. According to the daytoserve.org website, last year, the governors of Virginia, Maryland, and West Virginia, and the mayor of Washington, D.C. came together to support Day to Serve, a unique event that inspired diverse people of this wide mid-Atlantic region of the United States to put aside their political, religious, and cultural differences to strengthen our collective communities by working together to feed the hungry and heal the planet. Since the inaugural Day to Serve, the same group of government leaders has reached out to even more faith groups, businesses, local governments, and community organizations to keep working together to make further progress. And again, that's from the daytoserve.org website. Our church members have been active participants in both of the first two Day to Serves in 2011 and 2012. In 2012, and I should say, the Centerville Stake, which is kind of like a diocese, we have 11 units or congregations from western Fairfax County, this part of Prince William, through Manassas and Manassas Park, and just a little bit further, and all of Fauquier County. We have 6 congregations in Manassas and western Prince William County, including the Haymarket Ward. Our church members were active participants the last 2 years. Last year, we joined with other congregations and businesses to volunteer nearly 1,500 hours of service in collecting 6,500 boxes of food, plus some 2,300 pounds of food items, and nearly $5,000 in cash donations to organizations such as Serve and the Haymarket Food Pantry, that you've heard a little bit about already today. The statement from President Dion: "The Day to Serve is an opportunity for all faith and community organizations to unite in a common goal of reaching out to those in need and making our communities a better place. As we serve together, we not only help those less fortunate, but develop bonds of friendship and understanding that will strengthen our country, state, and nation, our county, and the town. The Day to Serve is a time for each of us to express our faith in a tangible way and to build confidence in one another. As we serve our neighbors and communities together, we will build strong coalitions of service and help us to be what we need to be. Catholics to be better Catholics, Protestants to be better Protestants, Muslims to be better Muslims, Mormons to be better Mormons, and so on." We just appreciate the opportunity to come here and endorse this resolution, appreciate all your efforts, and we appreciate your service to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else would like to speak on Citizens Time?
Bob Weir, 6853 St. Paul Drive. Better?
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, I take no pleasure coming here this evening. In truth, I'm actually irritated that I'm here. Once again, I've got to don the black hat and spell out some uncomfortable and inconvenient truths, as the food pantry is here yet again asking for extension on their $1 a year lease, a matter you guys will take up on September 3rd. My comments are not meant to diminish or denigrate the charitable work of the food pantry or the admirable efforts of its volunteers. Few know the backstory. They are, however, meant to point out that the food pantry leadership, some of them, and the organization as a corporate entity are less than responsible tenants. Some might go so far, and some have, as to call them deadbeats. And ultimately, that's what this is all about. A landlord-tenant arrangement. It's time to strip away the emotional appeal and render a responsible administrative decision. One can go back to the original lease arrangement several years ago, wherein the food pantry took advantage of the town's largesse and extended what was a limited duration use of the vacant town hall into a long-term residence. I'm very familiar with the circumstances, and I'm the one who motioned for the town council to allow them the use of the space for the holidays, a motion that I have since come to regret. When the town decided to renovate the space and reoccupy it with the town offices, the food pantry caused great inconvenience and some expense, stalling the move and leaving the office space in a condition worse than when it was initially occupied. The food pantry only moved after accommodations were made for them on the Harover property. Another circumstance that I have come to regret is, again, I made the motion and authored many of the lease restrictions and occupancy provisions. I'll let Councilman Tobias relate to particulars with regard to the food pantry's misrepresentation of their tax status and those implications for the town, as he's far more versed in those particulars than I. and instead will focus on the lease and occupancy provisions that were in place in the interest of public health, public safety, the town's potential liability, and risk management. If one reviews the minutes, motions, and lease provisions, one will find several provisions that the food pantry had to comply with above and beyond simply attaining 501c3 status. The provisions included bringing the structure up to code, providing a handicap ramp, providing restroom facilities, and tapping into the public water system. Although those requirements were weighed in part to offset the cost of the lease to the town, for those unfamiliar, the property cost the town roughly $50,000 a year, or $100 in unforced charitable contribution per property owner in the town. And I state in the town, as opposed to those that live without. They were also made to ensure that the operations were conducted in a manner that was responsible, sanitary, and in compliance with the various building and health codes. As evidenced by the recent report of the building inspector, most of those improvements were not made, and those that were, i.e. the handicap ramp, were made in a substandard manner, placing the town and the public at some manner of risk. Further, per the inspector's report, the food pantry has apparently been a less than desirable tenant in the use of the property. Upon information and belief, the decision to forego the improvements were made willingly by some leadership of the food pantry, and at least tacitly acknowledged by some group of town elected officials and town appointed staff. Behavior that's reprehensible, if not actionable, given the potential risk those actions place the town in, particularly as the food pantry and the town government shared individuals in a leadership capacity. The relationship between the town's government and the food pantry has always been a questionable one. Some have said incestuous, given that the individuals served both masters. Given their history as a tenant, desire to seek larger accommodations, and the onset of the streetscape construction in the area, I would suggest it's time for a parting of the ways. The town can no longer afford to provide a $50,000 annual subsidy to a tenant seeking a new location, and one that has had such little respect for its contractual obligations in the town as a whole. If it's a regional organization, perhaps it's time they sought this level of support from the county. Thank you.
Anyone else for citizens' time? Time's now 10 minutes till 8. We're going to take a recess till 8:05. All right, call the meeting back to order. We'll go to the meeting minutes for June 27th. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion we approve the minutes from June 27th and July 1st with any changes.
Second.
The motion's been seconded. Any discussion on this? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. We just have one member missing. All right. Department reports. Police report. Chief Root?
Yes.
How are you, sir?
Hi, how are you?
Excellent, sir.
Anything? Comments, questions, concerns? Anybody?
How's your new building doing?
Great. Great. Loving it.
Everybody love it?
Yep. Everybody loves it.
Any questions?
What time is National Night Out kicking off tomorrow?
5 o'clock. 5 to 9.
What is it
Tomorrow.
tomorrow? And where is it located?
Where that hat? Yeah,
Here.
Yep.
Right here? This parking lot, correct?
Right, that's correct.
Okay.
Good deal. Any other questions for Chief? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. We'll go to our treasurer's report, but unfortunately we're missing Mr. Tobias. So we'll skip over that and go right to our engineer's report. Ms. Holly.
Just a couple things I wanted to add. I did speak to the contractor about moving the staging area from the food pantry property to the police department property, and there's no problems with that. He would prefer to actually put it behind the building. That way it's also not visible from the street, and it's a flatter area back there. I also spoke to him, and he doesn't envision any other fencing other than like orange safety fence around the area, but he has not sized the area that he needs yet. Also, I did follow up with, I'm sorry?
One question on that. How close will that be to the other homes behind there?
If there's an offset that we want to put, I would think that what we want to do is keep it the offset away from the buildings where we were going to have the additional buffer. But if there's additional offset, we can evaluate that too. I have looked into the noise ordinance for the construction during this time. And in the R1 district, it does have provisions for allowing construction, I think, up to 8 p.m., just to let you know. I mean, that had nothing to do with food pantry, but just so that we know as we're going through the construction of the project. But if we want to try and do the offset, at least the buffer with the way that we have the side agreement for the landscaping, then I don't think that should be a problem to implement that. He will work with us in terms of the area. I did follow up with DEQ. They have received the changes and are processing the permit. That's all the update I could get on the VSMP permit. And hopefully all of you got this handout on your desk. After we had done the engineer's report, we did receive notification that when we applied for the original grant, we based it off of the first round of bids that we got in. And what happened is that after we got the second round of bids, a secondary funding came available. And we did get the $30,792 that represents the difference in cost, what we applied for in the original grant versus what the actual bid came in at.
Great.
Awesome. So, any other questions? Okay.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Sorry.
Mr. Henshaw.
Thank you, members of council. I'm going to touch on a few things real quick. I am pleased to announce that I've hired Denise Hall as our new administrative assistant and museum curator. I will tell you that the interviews made this process extremely competitive process. However, the one thing I would say is that Denise's excitement and energy for the position was absolutely contagious. She has lots of ideas, and I know she cannot wait to get started. So I encourage any of you all to, whenever you stop by the town office, talk to her about it, or very soon across the street at the museum as we get back open. Many of us, as we were going through this process, did not realize that she had quite the background in art history, and that she has a deep-rooted interest in history as well. So I believe we had our most qualified candidate. She will be starting over at the museum probably next week, and she'll be working to get the museum ready and open for the public in the coming weeks. And I'll be happy to answer any other questions with regard to that. Just an update from last Tuesday, Mary Jo Fields with VML will be here at the council meeting this month for the work session for the September meeting to discuss the pros and cons for changing elections from spring to November. She'll be kind of presenting you all with different articles from different jurisdictions, as well as leading, kind of facilitating a discussion with that regard.
What time do you think that's going to be?
We'll probably schedule that for her to be here at the 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Regular work session.
Can we invite maybe and open it up to the other boards?
We can send an invitation to them. Yeah. If not, I don't know if some of them have already changed it or not, so but we can certainly open that invitation.
I was thinking about the planning commission.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then as far as the treasurer position goes, all applications were due in here last Friday. We have received several applications, and I know that Councilman Tobias has volunteered to serve on the subcommittee to review those applications and help with initial interviews. And I'd like to have at least one more council member to help you with that process.
Do you have anybody that's willing to help out with that process? Ms. Fair?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's all I have.
Well, I kept looking at you, so.
I'd be happy to answer any other questions with regard to my town manager report.
Any other questions?
I don't know.
Okay.
Thank you for a great job.
Planners report.
Still have a sultry voice. I apologize. The zoning permit log was not distributed with the packet. I will get that to you. We do keep a track of those permits that I review administratively. Site plan applications, the hockey rink, this is the expansion of their existing facility, is under second review. Rose Investments, that's the gymnastics studio you guys approved temporary occupancy. That continues to move forward. They're unlikely to open in September. It's probably more of an October date, but they continue to move forward. And also, which you'll discuss later on, Signature Companies has submitted site plan amendments for improvements at their property. I just continue to talk with Sheets and McDonald's about improvements to their properties. And then subsequent to if you approve a zoning text amendment for Haymarket self-storage, we expect their SUP and their site plan to be in for their vehicle storage behind the Bloom Building. John Marshall Commons, moving on to 1 Mile Developments. John Marshall Commons was the residential rezoning I've referred to you in the past. This is on the east side of town for townhouse, multifamily, commercial development. That continues to work its way through the county process. I'd spoken to you before about an active adult project across from the Walmart. Not heard anything more about them submitting a rezoning for that. Did meet with the building inspector to walk the Payne Lane properties as a follow-up. He's noted some potential property management issues that we will add to the existing issues we have to deal with the site. Rose Investments, part of the condition of the temporary occupancy for the gym was that they address all the equipment they have stored as well as grass and other things that are happening. We've met with the family's son who owns all that equipment, and they should be moving it shortly. They've already mowed the grass in and around that area. We continue to address signs in the town. General town inquiries, the firehouse has been, an offer has been accepted by the Board of Supervisors, and it goes to public hearing tomorrow night. At that point, the tenant will be disclosed, and they'll have 60 days with which to do due diligence on the property. There are some potential issues with soils on the property, based on that underground storage tanks used to be there. So that 60-day period will vet all those potential issues with the town. If all goes favorably, we hope to have some sort of a site plan for reusing that building early next year. Thank you for your time. Happy to. Oh, I'm sorry. You've already heard about the boundary line adjustment tomorrow. That is simply holding their hearing and having the agreement. You would still have to authorize the execution of that agreement, and then if you designate either the mayor or the town attorney to actually take it to the courthouse and have it recorded. So it is not, the board's approval tomorrow is not the final step in the execution of the boundary line adjustment. Thank you.
All right. Back to the treasurer's report.
Maybe Brian would have that. As Jen said in her email, she's still looking for, Brian's still looking for another person to sit with him on the treasurer application reviews.
What's the point? What am I here for?
The numbers are there. You got any questions, comments, concerns? I played Jim Root. Questions, comments, concerns? It's 1 month in. Looks good so far. I will say that our legal bills have been exponentially high in certain categories, but apparently we're going to talk about that tonight. And other than that.
Do we still know a rough number where we're in with our year end?
No updates have been given to me. I know that the auditors have our stuff and they are working on it. But I would say the rough number that I gave last time is still fairly accurate. I was not made aware of any substantive changes in that.
All right. Moving along, building officials report, we saw that. Any questions? I don't have them here to answer, but
Brian, can you find out, I looked at their invoices today. Can you cross-reference their invoices to the report and find out how much of that invoice is actually pass-through fees versus how much of that is fees that we are actually absorbing, please?
We'll do that.
Can I have a report by Friday, please?
I will do my best, yes. I'll get it to you. I'll get it to you.
How about Monday?
Fair enough. I'll have it to you by Friday.
Oh, 100%?
As far as I can tell, unless I hit a statute, but I don't anticipate it.
okay. Going down our agenda items, rezoning, 14550, John Marshall.
Mr. Mayor, as has been normal policy amongst this council, the public hearing items typically are not acted upon at the night of the meeting, and having personal knowledge of the negotiations of the rezoning with the applicant, it's my indication that both the special use permit and the rezoning still have some kinks to be worked out, and I'd like to go ahead and take the normal path, which is to address this at our next public hearing.
Council meeting.
Public council meeting.
Yeah, please, no more public hearings.
That's fine, but I would like to hear Marchant speak on this behalf.
speak on one.
Just the rezoning.
Mr. Mayor, I think I got ahead of myself during the public hearing comments about the proper statement that you're under review is the one that was before you in the packet.
There's actually a revision to that proper statement that has been submitted that is not in our proper packet, that is still in negotiations.
Okay.
I have a red-line copy of it here. So the proper statement that's in our packet is not the most recent proper statement that the applicant is proposing and that we're negotiating at this time.
I was not updated on that. Thank you.
Correct, I know.
Okay.
I tried to catch you earlier, but you kept talking faster than I could catch you. So,
That happens.
So we're still, this red line document has not been really reviewed by the attorney yet. It's been in discussions with the applicant and certain council members, and we're continuing to negotiate.
Yeah, I don't think all of us are aware, so.
Well, it was emailed out to, and the clerk had it, well, the clerk did not get it, I'm so sorry. Part of what he took away from our meeting on Tuesday, for those at the work session, we addressed it, we discussed it. He was supposed to submit changes. He did so. He apparently did not send it to everybody, but I got it. And so here it is. And everybody can have a copy of it if they want, because it's still a work in progress.
Yes. Sure.
So I submitted the final proffer that was to go along with the rezoning to the entire council on Thursday. It was either Wednesday or Thursday. Ms. Baer had reached out along with Vice Mayor Tobias, and I heard that there was serious concerns with what we had provided. So I accepted further comments from Ms. Baer and Vice Mayor Tobias, only to find out that there was really nothing more that could be done. So I stand behind the proffer that is submitted, and I've got Dr. Sean Landry here. Can you hear me, Sean? Well, he's here on the phone. We stand behind the proffer that was submitted with the zoning package. And that proffer was submitted Thursday, Marchant?
That's the one that's in the packet.
That's the one that's in the package. That's the one that we are offering up. So
it's worse than the one we talked about today.
Well, I understand that. I understand from your perspective.
Well, Mike, when we had the work session and we discussed certain things about what the changes that needed to be made, you only took and incorporated certain pieces of those. That's why, just to give everybody else a bit of history on this as to why Councilwoman Baer and myself may have reached out to you, because certain things that were discussed on Tuesday were not incorporated properly in the document that you presented, which is why I suggest that you prepared another document to try to, try to make that happen.
So let's just be clear. The issue that is outstanding is that the council wishes that we convey the ability for any future owner, we convey the obligations that we have in our current proffer that we, the applicant, are willing to stand behind, that they be conveyed indefinitely to whomever buys the land in the future. And that's the one piece that we can't get over that piece. We've already offered a price to the seller. Had we known that this was going to be a requirement, then we would have offered a lower price. It's just as simple as that. I've said it before. If the council themselves were to buy a house and then they find out that the homeowners association is going to say, yeah, you can live in the house, but you can't have the land, and that's going to convey to the next new owners, you would say, hey, I'm not paying that price for it. And so that's where we are currently. I think we are happy to enter into whatever agreement the town wishes to enter into if they want to take up a lease on that property, or if you want to buy the property. So we are happy to do that while we are the owners and the applicants. It's just when we go to sell it, we want to be able to sell it for the full value. That's the issue.
Okay, thank you, sir. Or Sean?
Sean?
That's okay. Sir, I want your professional opinion on this. You've been in the dredges of this and have seen...
As opposed to what opinion would you give otherwise?
Please, I'm asking, what's your opinion on this? As a staff recommendation that you would do for another county?
I think the way I would outline for the council to look at is we have your guiding document, which is the comprehensive plan. It ultimately would like to see that project repurposed for a public use. The county, obviously, by its action, is wanting to sell the property. And the town has expressed in the past that it's not necessarily interested in acquiring additional properties beyond those that it controls today. So you have a private entity that has stepped forward under the by right scenario and has offered to purchase the property, has through their contract agreed to keep the parks in a leasable form and contingent upon the sale. You have the permits that are approved to continue the park use. You have the permits for the continued school use, the church, and then the SUP for the limited office uses. So in that regard, that proposal realizes at least portions of our long-range plan under the auspices that it's not being repurposed entirely for a public use pursuant to our plan. It's something less than that forwarded by a private landowner. If they were to sell that property, their lease agreement for the park goes away, and it would be subject to whomever wanted to develop that as a by right use. And those are primarily residential use, single-family detached houses, the churches, the schools, other limited uses, and some special exception uses. And obviously, the disposition of the building would be a part of that as well. Would that be incorporated as part of the residential development, or would that be removed as part of that? So that's how this proposal, or how the applicant is proposed to go through under the R1 proposal. You move to the B1 proposal, which was at the request of the council to do so as part of the BLA. Again, you have now a proffer that puts a more refined commitment on that park. You have these two provisions that say if we sell the property, we will offer it to without getting into too much minutia, there's already an ability of the school board to buy it back within 5 years. But beyond that, they are offering, unlike under the R1 option, they're saying the town or the county or whoever will have the first ability to come in and purchase that property, or have the ability to lease it for a defined period of time. That's kind of the worst case scenario. Obviously, the ideal situation is the fields will keep going for an indefinite period of time. If they do sell it and either the town doesn't buy it, the school board doesn't buy it, or we don't run it at the $5,000 a month, it would be subject to the B1 standards. It would preclude residential use and would have, obviously you would have control over reviewing the site plans that are a part of that proposal to go B1. So I think at the end of the day, in terms of the 10,000-foot level of meeting the town's policies, unless there's no other offers on the table for this long-range plan to be realized on the property, so long as either some public entity isn't willing to take control of it. So you have something less of that with that private agreement. I'm under the impression that the applicant will move forward with his by right use, a by right proposal, subject to the SUP, whether or not the rezoning goes through or not. The rezoning allows certain elements, the commitments to the park, the right of first refusal with the options, the site plan improvements that are obligated to bring it up to speed, some of those the sunset clauses on the uses. So in terms of, if you're asking my opinion, do both proposals meet the town's land use policies? Yes, they do. So I can clarify anything if you need me to or not.
Just wanted to get that understanding. Any other questions for Sean? Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, regularly written in the memo, the council can either approve, deny, or defer the application. You have a year with which to act, and you're still within that 12-month period to act.
A question for you, Mark. I know we've had this policy procedure, but I don't think it's ever anything in writing. Can the council act on this as a motion?
Yeah, the council has full control over its agenda, and if you all wish to have that act on tonight, then you can do so. There's no penalty to the town from acting. You do create somewhat of a precedent that other people in the future will want to have the same treatment, having the action on the same night as the public hearing.
Mr. Tobias?
I guess I will officially move to have items 7A through 7E, which were the public hearings for this evening, move to the September 9th. Oh, no, it'll be the 3rd, right? Is that when we meet the day after? Yeah, September 3rd, Town Council regular meeting agenda.
For the motion?
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. Would you agree to a friendly to take one of these off, like, for example?
If you say to church, I got questions about that one, because I don't know about
Well,
I don't know why the PC did what they did.
Right, well, that would be one of them. And acting on a contract or a renewal of a contract for the food pantry.
No, that's already been set as an agenda item for September 3rd.
Doesn't have to be.
No, the agenda item we have now is for the potential uses.
Yeah,
It's
not-
actually,
that would be an
since
actual agenda modification, and no, I'm not. I mean, we've already advertised, and it's already been stated, and I know people have called, and I know Jennifer has told people that the food pantry lease is, and we've already set that as an agenda item for September 3rd. I see no reason to revisit that. Tonight's public hearing was specifically to solicit input on the property as a whole. It just turned into a food pantry discussion, because that is a current use. So I would amend to remove item D, the St. Paul's Church sign, items A, B, C, and E to September the 3rd.
And would your second?
Second.
She second. Okay.
yes.
All right. Any other discussion on moving these? Ask for a roll call vote, please.
No.
There.
Yes.
Ernest.
No.
Scarborough.
No.
Kenworthy.
Yes.
And Tobias.
Yep.
Mayor votes no. So,
Well, let's try this again. I'll make a motion to move items 7A, 7B, 7C to the September 3rd public hearing, public town council meeting.
Second.
motion's been second. Discussion on this motion. Seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Aiken.
No.
There.
Yes.
Ernest.
No.
Scarborough.
No.
Kenworthy.
Yes.
And Tobias.
Oh, hell, I don't want David to vote. I'll vote no.
There you go.
At least I'm honest.
Okay. Do we have a motion to maybe take the first one as rezoning?
I move that the town council adopt ordinance ORD number 2013-0805-1, approving REZ number 2013-0528, application to amend the zoning map, Haymarket Properties Group LLC, 14550 John Marshall Highway, Case West School, subject to the rezoning plat dated May 2/1/2013, revised through July 19, 2013, and proffer statement dated
August 1.
which date is that, Marshawn?
August 1.
August 1, 2013.
I'm sorry, yes, I'm sorry, August 1.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. We have a
Second.
Motion been second. Discussion on the motion.
Marshawn,
Yes, sir, sorry.
is it often that proffers for the property don't convey when the property is sold?
The proffers do run with the land, but they are voluntary, so they're subject to the provisions that are in there. If there are it is subject to the content of that proffer. So if anything other than a defined, unless a defined period of time, I assume, I'm make sure I answer, what is the focus of your question?
Typically, do proffers convey with the sale of the land?
They run with the land, yes, sir.
Okay. Any other discussion? Ms. Mayor?
I wasn't done.
Oh.
but I'll let Rebecca speak first.
To Marchant or Martin, whichever can answer. In normal proffer negotiations, are there usually multiple outs to one clause in a proffer?
It's really hard to say. They are, as Marchand says, voluntary.
Yes.
So they structure them the way that they want to structure them, and they're intended to mitigate the impacts of rezoning. And to the extent that they do so, then you accept them in that spirit, that mitigation. And then if they're acceptable to you as a whole package, you vote up. If they're not acceptable to the council as a whole package, you vote them down.
I have encountered before in proffers working in other jurisdictions, if I can reference that there are sometimes sunset clauses for commitments within the project. Mostly my experience has been with rights of way, reservations of rights of way, certain road construction, other infrastructure, that if other moving parts don't realize themselves at the time that they're supposed to make that commitment, they're relieved of it or have to proffer a cash contribution. But so that it is not unheard of to limit the commitment to certain improvements.
Sure. Mr. Tobias, you had another comment or question?
Are you done with it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll just go back to a couple items. Number one, as Martin said, this is setting a precedent to vote on something the same night of something so substantive on the night of a public hearing. Number two, going back 18 months ago when the statement was made to us when it was first brought to previous council, and I think most of us are aware of it, the whole idea of this whole project was that the ball fields were going to stay. This is not making that happen. This is giving them way too many outs to get rid of the ball fields and not have them. The whole idea, the whole issue in the negotiations, whether or not the ball field staying would convey to the property owner. Tonight, the applicant has stated that he paid a fair market price for the land, but he has disclosed to certain members of council that he only actually paid half of what the appraised value was, so I'm not sure how that gets fair market value. Number three, they have given us the right of first refusal and the option to enter into a commercial form of lease, which is something we never asked for in the first place. All we ever asked for was that the ball fields are retained as best they can. We worked with them and we gave them the out of finding a mutually agreeable, reasonable form of a lease agreement at a fair market price, which is totally subject to interpretation, and there's no way that anybody could ever fight whether or not it was a reasonable form of a lease. And basically, they'd only have to wait 1 year if the termination of a lease happened, and they couldn't find anybody else to develop the property. At the end of the day, you're basically, sounds like some of you are willing to just fold over on this negotiation. I'm not sure why it's such a immediate need to get this passed tonight. So, I'm going to vote no because I think those of you who vote yes are doing an injustice to the residents who spoke tonight about open space in the area, about recreational space in the area. This is still in the town. It is still green space in the area that we'd like to keep. Residents would like to keep it. These are ball fields that their kids use, that the residents here use, that the dogs use, etc. This is giving them an out to develop it down the road. And I think that's a horrible decision.
All right, thank you for your comments. Any other further discussion? Ask for a roll call vote, please.
Aiken.
Yes.
Bear.
No.
Harness. Yes. Scarborough.
Yes.
Kenworthy.
No.
And Spice.
Nope.
And the mayor votes yes. Moving on. Let's go to see if we can take separate some of the stuff.
Move to strike agenda item 7B off the agenda because it's no longer necessary.
Motion
Second.
and second discussion.
Can I hear a reason why
Yeah.
that's no longer necessary?
Yeah.
Because we just rezoned it to B1. They're asking for B1 use and an R1 right. It's not going to be R1 anymore.
Well, sure.
May I confer with Martin real quick? Sorry.
sorry, Mayor, we're referring to an effective motion to approve this tonight. That would be effectively a denial of this action. I think, and I'm not putting a word in the applicant's mouth, I think we would say that the zoning that you just voted on won't take effect until the boundary line adjustment is approved by the circuit court, which could be up to a year before we know whether it's going to occur. After a year, according to the terms of the rezoning itself, that rezoning will evaporate and no longer be of any effect. But in the meantime, there is if I can again put words in the applicant's mouth, I think they would say that they really need that today so they can move their business use in there without waiting for the circuit court to act on rezoning, on boundary line adjustment.
Do we have a draft motion?
There is one in the packet, Mr. Mayor.
Page 60.
60.
Yeah, not second.
Oh, sorry, we're still in discussion. Thank you. Yep, apologize.
Mike,
Jumping over.
when are y'all trying to move QBE in there?
We got two pieces. One will be...
Yeah, do you want to come to the mic? Mike?
For our federal group, it's as soon as we can get the place renovated for the...
What's your ETA?
December. And then for the group upstairs, it'll be March. And that's an estimate. Because we're paying down the street. We want to get out of there as soon as we can.
You're paying down the street.
4426, Costello. That's where our federal division is. So the sooner we can get out of there and get over here, we're going to do that.
Is that the building you own?
It certainly is.
So you're paying yourself?
Well, sure. But I've got...
I'm just not sure why you said we're paying, because you're paying everywhere.
Because I've got tenants that will occupy that space.
Right.
So...
Thank you. Any further discussion on the...
I withdraw my motion to strike it from the agenda for the reason that our attorney has said.
Okay, so
But then I'll make a motion to deny the special use permit.
we have a motion to deny. Do we have a second for that?
Second.
Second. Discussion. So
Again, based on what we were told tonight and what council has just acted on tonight, I don't think it's necessary. I think that because of what the county has told us, because of what Marshawn has told us, because of what everything has alluded to, the BLA should be going through in plenty of time to make this happen, for them to move their businesses in there. And if it doesn't, then they can resubmit.
Is there any cost in resubmittal? Is there any...
we got the shaking of yes over here.
I would amend my motion to include that should they need to resubmit, we would waive the cost of a resubmittal. Just seems like a silly action to take when we just changed the zone.
Well, based on our own lawyer's recommendation, it sounds like...
I don't believe you made a recommendation, sir. He made a statement.
Based on a statement that the county courts could take up to a year on this, not that they will, that if we pass it tonight, no harm, no foul. I mean, there's no downside to this. If we have to come back to it again, it's just more effort later. It's...
Okay, I will withdraw my motion. You've convinced me, sir.
We have a motion.
I move that the town council approve SUP 2013-0529 for limited professional office use at 14550 Washington Street as described in the special use permit application dated May 24, 2013, pursuant to Section 58-53(7) of the zoning ordinance. And I further move that the SUP shall remain in effect for a period of 1 year to renew automatically for additional periods of 1 year, but expressly conditioned upon the following. The council may require upon a majority vote after notice to the applicant for the applicant or present property owner to submit a new application for an SUP, which shall be treated in all respects as a new and different application subject to approval or disapproval in accordance with general principles of law for a new application. If such notice is given to the applicant or present property owner, this SUP shall terminate automatically and without further notice or action by the council 60 days from the giving of such notice.
Second.
The motion has been seconded. Discussion on this motion.
Same comment I had before. I think acting on an item that was just heard at a public hearing this evening is a bad precedent to set, and by doing it twice, we've made it even a stronger precedent.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comments, discussion? If not, roll call vote, please.
Aiken. Yes.
Fair.
Yes.
Ernst.
Yes.
Scarborough.
Yes.
Penworthy.
Yes.
Tobias.
Nope. Okay. Our ZTA. Page 66.
Make a motion to table item 7C, zoning text amendments, until the September 3rd, 2013 town council meeting.
There's a motion that's on the floor and been seconded by Mr. Kenworthy. Discussion on this?
Why?
Yeah, why?
Same reason as given earlier.
Just that reason, nothing that would merit.
Again, same reason as earlier. I think you guys are making a bad decision setting this precedent. We've not done it in the past. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure who's in your pocket and who's making you want to do this tonight.
Take offense to that.
Take any offense you want, David.
That's right.
You've taken offense to a lot of what I said.
Mrs. Gare.
Obviously, the majority of council feels that we no longer need to
That's
wait.
fine.
So, just please remember this for future things. If there's a public hearing, we're going to act on it that night. Because that is the precedent we're setting, so we don't have to hear this with each one. It's just now the way we're going to do things. I think that's...
I think we're acting within the law. Obviously, we can advise that. So, Rashawn, you made a draft motion to this one here.
Motion on the table, but second. We need to call that action, please, before we continue to discuss.
Are you calling for the vote?
Yeah, on the motion that's about to fail, I want the vote.
We have to call for the vote. Do we need a second?
There was a second. Kenworthy seconded the motion to table.
Okay, great. All right, roll call vote, please.
Aiken.
No.
Beck.
No.
Ernest.
No.
Scarborough.
No.
Penworthy.
No.
Tobias.
Yep.
Okay.
That new motion will be
Okay. And a new motion, anybody?
I move that the town council adopt ordinances ORD 2013-0805-2, ORD 2013-0805-3, and ORD 2013-0805-4, permitting outdoor storage of non-motorized vehicles by special use permit in the limited industrial district I-1.
Second.
The motion has been second. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Aiken.
Yes.
Fair.
Yes.
Ernest.
Yes.
Scarborough.
Yes.
Penworthy.
Yeah.
Tobias.
Staying.
No reason for your abstention?
Did you ever announce one while you were on council?
Usually it's...
No, you didn't.
It's usually typical that...
Did you ever announce one while you were on council, Mr.
Someone wants to
Mayor?
abstain to
I don't believe you ever did.
Okay, so, no...
My abstention is, I abstain, period. I don't have to give a reason for abstaining.
No,
You never did.
Okay, thank you. And we'll go on to St. Paul Church sign.
Can I ask Marchant questions before we start motioning? Again.
In deferment to your earlier comment, Councilwoman Bear, I will recuse myself from making a motion on the following two items.
Marchant, the
I
two
believe
signs...
I've made my point clear.
The two signs that Planning Commission approved and the sign that they're asking to grandfather in, can you brief everybody on that, please?
Sure. The two signs that we went through were two freestanding signs. We have a provision or an ordinance that says church signs have to come through a special use permit process. Candidly, I don't know the rationalization for that, but nonetheless, that's within our ordinances, and that's what we've moved forward with. The third sign they asked for was for a sign on the corner of Washington Street and Fayette. Based on the information we had at the time, that was not we don't have a provision for off-site business signs within the district. We do have instances of signs in town.
In town?
Thank you very much. Signs in town that are grandfathered. And so what was not unclear with what the applicant has stated tonight, there has been some precedent for that sign on the corner being there. Obviously, being on someone else's property, it needs to have the owner's permission to be there. But if the council was concede that sign has been down for less than the 2 years required for a non-conforming sign to be removed, then it's within your discretion, subject to the property owner agreeing to it, that we allow the sign to be placed there. And I believe the dimensions are in the packet. It would be a third freestanding sign, so you could probably just use the draft motion you already have to approve the third sign.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
the suggestion was made earlier during citizens' comments that during the public hearing, that this was grandfathered. But in order to be a grandfathered sign, it would have to be something that was in place prior to the adoption of the zoning ordinance. And I go back a long way with Turner Smith, but I don't remember. I don't go all the way back to before zoning in the town of Haymarket. I do remember that sign being there in the early 90s, but it was clearly zoning at that point. I would ask for us to, before you act on the third sign, to give us an opportunity to research that issue so that we can determine whether it is in fact grandfathered. We can also use that time to find out whether the property owner wishes to have it restored, and so we can have full information for you to act on.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
All right. Great.
I should have asked him before I responded. I apologize. You handled that very delicately. Thank you, Mark.
I move that the town council approve zoning permit ZP 2013-0604 for two freestanding signs at 6750 Washington Street, St. Paul's Episcopal Church, pursuant to section 58-346-1 of the Haymarket Town Code.
Second.
The motion and second. Any discussion on this? Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Yeah. I abstain. I think my reasons are quite obvious when
Can
somebody...
I ask Martin another question?
Yes, sir.
Sorry. It's not been my day. I'm sorry. Never mind. Thank you.
All right.
Do we need to direct anyone to research that?
Yes, absolutely. I'll work with Marchand on that and Reverend Rousseau and bring that out.
What I just discussed with Martin is if it's grandfather, it does not need to come back through a public hearing process.
Okay. I think we're up to F now, Washington Street Enhancement Project High.
This was for us to appoint Colin to be the contact, correct?
Yes.
We discussed that at the...
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I move the town council grant approval authority for the Route 55 Washington Street Enhancement Project, EN 962333128, C502, UPC 64766, submittals to the town engineer.
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Scarborough. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Aiken?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Scarborough?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
And Spies?
Aye.
Day of service.
For the sake of time, I go ahead and make the motion. Resolution 2013-0805-1 as printed.
Second.
I'm not going to read it.
Thank you, Jay.
The record, Mr. Mayor, seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. All right.
Great. Okay. Training review services, fire marshal,
Fire prevention.
prevention, sorry.
The only thing I'd reiterate is this is only if we need it from the standpoint of fire safety plan review, and that would only have to do with new construction or new construction or fire safety inspection. Is in my intention to bring a full proposal for you all about our building inspection program, how it will operate by October. This should give us enough time to work out with Prince William Fire Marshal's office how that process would work. The services of Carson Associates Incorporated would only be used in the interim and on an as-needed basis.
I move that, oh, sorry.
The recommendation for Carson Associates, I'm assuming that there were other entities that could do this service, and Carson Associates was selected through some sort of informal bidding process that we weren't made aware of?
No, Carson Associates, unfortunately, this is a very specific specialty with regard to, so there's not that many services out there, if any, that we know of.
We know of one.
Well, yeah, Carson Associates. He has a very specific degree in fire safety engineering that comes from University of Maryland. There's only it's a very small program. We can certainly search out more, but it's to the best of our knowledge. And for the sake of time, we felt like this would be the best way to do on an as-needed basis.
I move that we authorize town manager to hire Carson Associates Inc. as an on-needed basis for fire safety plan review and initial inspection for all new commercial construction.
Second.
We'll go with Ms. Fair this time as a second discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 All right.
Item number I, assisted listening devices.
Any objection to discussing that in September while I work out with staff the appropriate budget line items to take that from and get a better understanding of the components being incorporated in this plan?
I agree completely.
Holy smackers.
Okay.
Move to table agenda item 7I till September 3rd, 2013, regular scheduled council meeting.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion on the tabling. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Move to appoint Councilwoman Harness as the point person in working with staff on getting a better understanding of the concept of what we're doing there, and I'll work on the where to take it from in the budget. Yes.
Yes. Second.
I will reject that.
These are for listening devices.
So a motion has been seconded. Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Discussion, please. Based on commitments I have already made and with the sale and contractual obligations that I have through my new job and the new owners of my job, I will not have the time in order to give the time needed and should be needed to the research of these.
I bet you it only takes 30 minutes. Come on, you can do it.
Or go with the roll call vote, please.
I withdraw my motion. I'll just try to pick at it.
Okay. My understanding, Denise has done the legwork. She's yeah. So what? All we're looking for is the money for the budget item to pull out of.
We all just agreed to.
I understand that, but I'm just.
So can we move on to the next item?
Yeah, we can. Thank you.
Probably makes sense.
And Haymarket Quilters, request from council. I think we went and asked for the dates. They've given us the dates.
Did they conflict with anything else we have here? Plan?
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion. Grant them the dates. as listed.
Okay.
Second.
It's been seconded.
The 4 dates as listed? The 4 dates, yes.
Like in the
Like
chart.
specifically to say 4 dates.
All right, motion and second. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Aiken.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Arnes.
Yes.
Scarborough.
Yes.
And Worthing.
Yes.
Nope.
Alexander's Keep site plan revision number 3.
Based on Holly's recommendation, I move the town council approve amended final site plan AFSP number 201-30730, subdivision site plan revision number 3, Alexander's Keep, sheets 1, 6A, and 14 of 24, prepared by Burgess and Nyepel and dated September 5, 2006, revised through June 12, 2013, signed and sealed July 29, 2013, in accordance with section 58.510 of the town code.
There's a motion on the floor that's been seconded by Mrs. Barrett. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Aiken.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Arnes.
Yes.
Scarborough.
Yes.
And
All
Worthing.
right.
All right.
And zoning permits.
Move that the town council approve a temporary occupancy permit for Washington Street Realty in the Haymarket Police Department within the Haymarket Town Center. Expressly conditioned upon the following: temporary occupancy will not be permitted by the building official, and a zoning permit will not be issued by the zoning administrator until building official requirements for a tenant upfit to include requirements of ADA are completed.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any discussion?
Should there
Nope.
be one B?
Took it off. Don't like it. That's why I read it so quickly.
Any other further discussions? Roll call vote, please.
Aiken.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Arnes.
Yes.
Scarborough.
Yes.
And Worthing.
All right.
We have partial request, LLC occupancy.
I can take anything this time. Mr. Mayor, this was an evolving request since your work session. Last work session, the Councilman Tobias requested to add to the agenda to have Next Level Fitness temporary occupy an enclosure on the building. This is the one building right next to Rose Investments. In that they'd be allowed to move forward with that and then have the site plan deferred for a certain period of time. Mr. Lombardozzi, who's here this evening, can answer questions. He's amended the request that he has in the letter. That request was to simply waive the site plan requirements and allow for the occupancy of Next Level Fitness within the enclosure. During the site plan review, we've identified several issues with regards to upgrading other improvements to the site, landscaping, lighting, parking lot striping. Mr. Lombardozzi has indicated his disagreement with how some of those code sections have been applied to his property. So we've given him instruction that a way to get an official determination about the town standards through a zoning determination letter. So this letter that, I'm sorry, let me hand this out to you while you're discussing it. This was passed in this afternoon. Essentially aligning the request similar to what was done for Rose, in that they will, that you're, let me get some additional background, I'm sorry. As part of the site plan, there's a building permit that was pulled for that enclosure. We do require in the ordinance that such permits not be issued until the site plan is approved. That building permit was pulled, subject to an action by the council. So what we have drafted now is for, again, approval similar to Rose Investments, is that you would allow temporary occupancy of the building, subject to them completing their site plan amendments and completing the improvements by July 1st, 2014. What this will allow Mr. Lombardozzi to do is to, again, file a zoning determination letter on the applicable standards. He also brought up an issue with regards to our parking ordinance and the parking requirements we have for recreational uses. And so, if I can speak for him, he expects through his letter to engage the town in possibly amending its ordinances with regards to its parking requirements. He eventually intends to expand the recreation use into other parts of the building, and that will be restricted by our current parking requirements. So that process will be vetted during this extension of deferment of the site plan. Be happy to answer any questions, and I've given you the draft motion.
Have you reviewed this with Mr. Martin, this latest?
Mr. Krim?
Right, Martin?
No, sir. I had written this, I had based it on the Rose Investments. When Mr. Lombardozzi's request, we expected a request to come in for temporary occupancy. I had prepped this but had not issued it because we got a letter requesting to simply defer the plan or to waive the plan altogether. So I just pulled this up this evening, but I've not vetted it through Mr. Crimp.
Is it still staff's recommendation to defer this until a zoning determination?
No. That's what this was. This is to, the discussion that was being made today with all this was to allow the zoning determination to happen behind the scenes while a temporary occupancy is granted in an effort to allow the tenant to proceed with his business plans. So as to not hem up the tenant, similar to the way that we acted upon with the Rose request for the gymnastics people who were under a time crunch to get their place operational before the school year started. Otherwise, their business would be subject to great risk. So Marchant and I worked with John on negotiations on this, if that's fair to say. And there will be some questions coming through before the site plan is issued, but this covers all of those avenues.
Yes, sir.
One discussion that I had with Mr. Schneider earlier on this issue was with regard to the site lighting. This was what set this situation apart from the Rose Investments property was that there's a safety issue with regard to particularly children using the site after dark. And how are we going to address that in this?
What we've commented on the site plan is that the lighting is required. And that is based on the requirement for a site plan based on the enclosure. Mr. Lombardozzi is going to file a determination letter to confirm whether or not that is the correct standard as part of the enclosure. So if the determination says, yes, you have to upgrade the lighting as part of your expansion of the thing, then that will move forward. If the determination says no, then that standard won't be applicable. But right now, the way the town staff has interpreted the ordinance, the site plan would require lighting to be upgraded.
So it's an upgraded lighting. There is lighting there now.
Correct. It's just a matter of whether or not it meets our standard for serving the public after 5 p.m.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Question of how many foot candles.
Correct.
So how do we ensure the safety prior to them getting used to be able to do this?
Well, the business is already in existence, and the business is already in action and working, and the piece of this property that is going to be affected by this occupancy has no bearing on the coming and going of people into or out of the business. So therefore, we're using past history that they've been safe now, right?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have any lighting issues on the site. We don't have any, none of our tenants, customers have complained about site lighting on the site. We don't have any known issues that, if we had them, we probably would have addressed them.
And I guess we've indicated for the applicant, we don't know we have a problem, but it's just a matter of having someone go out there and assess it, and may or may not meet it once they assess the lighting.
So maybe the lighting is 10% deficient, not 95% deficient.
Exactly. Or not at all until someone goes out there and actually measures it. And that's what we indicated in the site plan review. One of the questions I get quite often is, how do all these different properties in town seem to be in different stages of conformance with the plan? Obviously, at a point that a project's established that meets the ordinances at the time, how these properties begin to upgrade to our most current standard is as they're, I like to say, tinkered with. Once they're starting, their purposes are changed, their buildings are expanded, that's when these new standards become applicable. So,
Can I say something about that?
If the council agrees.
but I have the motion ready for action.
Yeah.
I would say now's not the time, because I know what he's going to say.
All right. Yes, sir, it's not really prudent, not unless the council would agree to hear comments.
I'd like to go ahead and formulate the motion for council to consider. I'm not sure the motion number, the resolution number now, Jen, I've lost track, but you can adopt the correct motion number in the minutes. Move that town council approve a temporary occupancy permit for approximately 2,600 square feet of recreational, commercial, indoor fitness and sports activities at 6614 James Madison Highway, expressly conditioned upon the following 3 items. 1, temporary occupancy will not be permitted by the building official, and a zoning permit will not be issued by the zoning administrator until the building official requirements for building permit number B201300410 are fully implemented and compliant with said permit approved plan. 2, building permit reference above shall be reissued by the building official and shall be limited to construction improvements associated with the enclosure of the warehouse loading bay area to be used for recreation use until such time as an amended final site plan has been approved for the property and construction of the improvements required by the amended final site plan is completed. And 3, approval of the final amended final site plan to accommodate the area of temporary occupancy shall be diligently pursued by the property owner. Construction of the site plan improvements required by the amended final site plan shall be completed by September 1st, 2014. An occupancy permit for the recreational use will be issued by the building official upon completion of the required site improvements. Failure of the property owner to complete the required site improvements within the timeline prescribed above will result in the suspension of the temporary occupancy permit, and a zoning violation notice will be issued to the property owner and tenant. Furthermore, item 4, Marchant, you left us off, the December 31st submission date for the site plan.
I'm sorry, Mr. I had a chance to catch up with you. The Rose Investments has a preliminary plan and a final site plan, so we said they had to submit their final site plan by December 31st. These guys have already submitted their final site plan, so they're ahead of Rose.
But we talked about the submission of the letter to be done by December 31st.
Oh, the determination letter.
Determination letter.
I'm sorry, and then, yes, that would need to
Item
be
number 4, should the applicant desire to submit a zoning determination letter, such request shall be submitted to the town prior to close of business December 31st, 2013. That's amenable. That's
Yeah,
agreeable.
that's fine, sure.
Motion and second discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Mr. Kramer, I guess you can bring us into closed session.
Mr. Mayor, the motion should be in the form of to move the Haymarket Town Council into closed session this evening for the purpose of discussion and consideration of the acquisition of real property for public purpose or disposition of publicly held real property. Discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position of the negotiating strategy of the public body, and also for probable litigation, both involving daytime and nighttime.
So moved.
Right.
Aye.
Would someone like to second that?
Yeah, second. Oh, I thought I heard Milt say second.
No, I didn't.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Okay. Great. Mr. Kramer, if you could bring us back into regular session.
Motion would be to certify that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under this chapter, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, and considered in the meeting by a public body.
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Harness? Yes. Lee?
Yes.
Scarborough? Yes. Hammerly?
Yes.
And Spice?
Yes.
I make a motion to adjourn.
We still have our council member time.
Second.
Amendable, not debatable.
Okay. Motion and second discussion.
Not debatable.
I have,
To adjourn, right, I'm sorry. Roll call then.
Aiken?
no.
Bear?
Yes.
No. Scarborough? No. Hammerly?
Yes.
And Spice?
Yes.
Mayor votes no. All right, if we can just continue on just for these couple of things. Councilmember time. Mr. Aiken?
Yes, I have one item. I'd like to make a motion that we provide Officer Jason Davis 1 week of paternity leave when his wife has their baby in the near future. This was discussed at the last work session, and It is something that we have done in the past. We don't have an official rule on it. It was done in the past, and we want to consider doing that again.
I'm assuming this is one extra week of paid time off, not to go against his bank,
We first got a motion. Let's get it second, then we go to
Second.
discussion. Okay, discussion.
not to go against his banked up and earned up time. It's an
Correct. He's
additional
only been
week
here
of paid
6
time off.
months and doesn't have much.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
That is all I have.
great. Councilman Baird?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Ms. Harness?
I'm good.
Very good.
I would like you all to think about all people that spoke about briefcase and prepaid. And that's it.
Okay, great, thank you. Mr. Kenworthy?
Oh, get over that.
Okay, all right. I understand. Mr. Tobias?
Well, I've said enough tonight, David, about things that this council's done, so I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Your turn, sorry.
Go ahead and call your motion out of order, I guess, but
How
a
can you
couple
call my
things.
motion out of order?
'Cause I
It's
didn't
my time to
recognize- I
speak.
didn't-
It's recognized council member time. It's my time to speak.
Okay, we'll-
I believe if it's my motion and it's my time to speak, it's not out of order.
And it did get
And it
seconded.
got seconded, so it's not debatable.
Why don't you just vote, get a vote and
Yes.
move on?
Jim? Roll call.
No.
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 Yes.
Yep.
For the last order of business, a couple things that I'm going to bring out is the lack of having to recognize volunteers in our community. So I'm going to implement the following committees. Mayor's Volunteer Award.
Can you speak up,
Committee.
please? I can't even hear you.
Mayor's Public Safety Committee, Mayor's Haymarket Business Committee. If anybody wants to ask me about these or whatever.
What are you intending that these committees are going to do?
For example, the volunteer would be similar to the town of Herndon, where they recognize volunteers in the community and with certificates, probably at council time. Public safety, this would be something that there's been an expressed interest in actual residents that would like to serve in a public safety committee. So I thought that would be something good to do. And a business committee that we're supposed to be business friendly, so it's actually looking at and working with the local businesses to see about promoting Haymarket and what could we do to make it more business friendly. And I spoke to Marchant about some ideas regarding that. Maybe it's our signs, maybe it's just different avenues and aspects. So.
Would you propose that this is a committee of all residents or council members and residents?
All residents, yeah, I would allow.
So would sunset laws allow for all council members to serve on all committees? If it was strictly a...
Before you?
Yeah.
If a majority, if three or more council members show up for a meeting of that, then they would have to advertise it and have to be open to the public. So you would want to know ahead of time whether we're planning to have three or more council members.
Gotcha.
Okay. And that's all I have.
Motion
You
to
propose-
adjourn.
Second.
I don't think this one's...
Yes.
Aye.
David, are you proposing to actually formulate this in some sort of organized capacity in September or what?
Yeah, as soon as possible.
But I mean, are you going to come to us with a plan for what the committees will be doing?